waited all winter for this.
It's the biggest race we have all year long.
The icons of this sport have all starred on its biggest stage.
It's the great American race. Trust me.
I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500.
Pull them belts tight one last time, boys. Light the fire.
Big push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Priest upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass.
You got plenty of money. Don't need that to keep racing. Is it worth the risk to keep on going?
Sure, to win.
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves, who won the Super Bowl? Kansas City Chiefs weekend. Clint Boyer happy about that one. And make sure you like, share, subscribe. Podcast available on all platforms every Monday night: Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. And every Tuesday morning video available on YouTube. And we are going to do something new this year. We are currently live on twitch.tv/bump and run podcast. That's twitch.tv/bump and run podcast. So make sure you follow us there, and you can watch us live while we do the show. Make sure you follow. That way you get a little notification as we're going live. And we are live and alive right now, coming from snowy Northeast Pennsylvania. Fellas, it's Speedweek, baby. How you doing?
Whitey, you said we're going to be trying something new this year. I thought you were referring to Eric actually wearing pants.
Oh, no. We wouldn't want to get crazy now, would we? Fellas, how you doing?
Oh, it's going good. It's going good over here. The snow just missed, absolutely destroying our area. We got away with a few inches of snow here, but went a little south where they got bombed with over a foot of snow in the Poconos, which is only about an hour away from us here. But it's always nice to see the trees and everything covered in. It was that type of snow where it was nice and, it's kind of wet, where it stuck to all the trees and everything looked absolutely pristine and gorgeous when the sun came up and finally started hitting that nice fresh powder.
Oh, yeah. I was loving the wet snow, too. It made it really easy to shovel today, surprisingly. Usually it's nice and heavy, but because it was wet underneath, everything just kind of slid right off the sidewalk. It was real nice. Had an early start or a late start at work, too. So doing the 2-hour delay thing up here in the Northeast.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Mother Nature helping you out. Gotta love it.
Yeah, but now I got to burn 2 hours of scheduled PTO time because of it, though, so it is what it is.
And you're going away this weekend. I think you could deal with it. You're going out to a sunny Daytona Beach. Sunny Daytona Beach.
Sunny.
We are bringing out there to the world that you are going to have beautiful weather down there, white man.
That's right.
We got our fingers crossed. If you're watching the 10-day forecast for Daytona, not looking the best on Saturday and Sunday, but you know how Florida weather works. It could change at any time. But how about you, Matt? How's your weekend? How's everything going with you? You sound a little tickly in the throat.
Yeah, so I, obviously Super Bowl weekend, right behind Daytona 500 weekend. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year, so we get that back to back, which is nice. But I'm on the back end of a cold as well, so I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm fighting something in my throat here from all the coughing I've done over the past 72 hours. So bear with me. We'll get through this together. But no, good. I'm so excited. Like I always tell you guys, and I'm sure I've mentioned it on here. The duels is one of my favorite events of the year.
Yeah.
And, we're 48 hours away. Yeah. Almost literally 48 hours away from the first green flag of the duel. So I can't wait. Super excited. Hopefully it's not the only racing we see this weekend before Monday. And again, like Eric said, I think it's going to be 75 and sunny. That's the mantra we're saying on the Bump and Run podcast for this weekend. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to get the season started. A little mix in the schedule to start the season. There's new faces. So and I know we're going to go over all that. So it's just an exciting time.
Yeah, exciting
I don't know
indeed. I'm sorry, Eric. Sorry to cut you off there.
I lost you, Whitey. I can't see you. That's why I just kind of stepped in there. I thought you were gone, my brother.
No, I'm still here. I'm having camera problems today. I've been using the same cable on this camera for 3 seasons now, and the weight of it, I think, is finally getting to it where it just keeps popping in and out. I don't know if you heard that little bit of noise.
Yeah.
Of course, just one of those days.
Welcome to a brand new season of the Bump Around podcast, where the rails tend to get fallen off of, and
quick.
And you know what? We make the best of it. We make the best of it. So as our glorious host here figures out his IT issues.
All right, I'm back.
Dude,
like I said, we are the Wayne's World. We're the Wayne's World of the NASCAR podcasting. You know what I mean?
We are the Wayne's World of the NASCAR
We're for
podcast.
the people.
We are for the
We're
people.
real people with real issues and
real issues,
IT problems, and we're one of you for the folks that are listening. Except Bernie, if you're listening, we are not one of you.
Is he playing fantasy again this year? He owes me $50. He hear back
Nobody
from
knows.
those guys?
I texted him this morning. So he either you get a Venmo for $50 or you don't, white man.
All right,
the Venmo is out. Bernie does listen, so he's definitely gonna hear this.
Well, if you don't, you're out of here. All right, but boys, you want to jump into some NASCAR news before things go off the rails too much further than that?
Hit us with it.
All right, so just a couple stories here. Auto Club Speedway, we've been watching this for a while now. Will most likely not be ready for 2025. No shock there. They tore it all up. They're already starting to clear the land for that redevelopment project, but no word on the supposed short track that's supposed to be there. According to NASCAR, there's still some things internally that are in the works and need approval. NASCAR didn't mention much more than that. So we'll see what happens out in California. Let's see. Fox Sports is do you guys have anything to add to that? I don't really have much on it other than.
No, I think we knew it was going to be a long shot, so that's why I don't think it's really been in the front of the headlines, because they kind of know it's got a little bit of time before it could be talked about.
Yeah.
Just sounds like that whole thing's a disaster.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. Maybe this is still the timeline that they expected, but I feel like we've been talking about this for a long time now.
Yeah, and then whatchamacallit, it is Speedweek. Lots of NASCAR action on FS1 this week, including a brand new documentary called I Am Kevin Harvick. That will debut on February 15th, right after the duels at Daytona, so right around 10 o'clock. What do you guys think about? Apparently, it's supposed to go over kind of his whole career and into the broadcasting bit, but are you guys excited to see some more NASCAR documentary style programming?
Yeah, I finished the NASCAR Speed, was it called, or Full Speed on Netflix, the newest one, and it was great. I thought it was excellent. It got the blood flowing, and it got the excitement ramped up to watch the season. So it's kind of what I needed, and it came out in the perfect time for us fans to consume it and get excited for the season and what's ahead. So. It's always cool to see a driver like Kevin Harvick get appreciated in something like this. I like a 30 for 30 where you go over someone, the most important and the best parts of their career and stuff, and really highlight what he's done, because man, in the off season, a lot of stats get posted and you see this and that when there's kind of low news. And Harvick, I didn't realize he is just a stat machine when it comes to NASCAR and being at the top of a lot of categories that I was not familiar with. So his career is absolutely worthy of a documentary on its own.
Yeah, well said, Eric. I'm excited about it as well. Anytime we get like a peek into, I don't know if it's a behind the scenes thing or if it's straight up just a documentary about his career. Either way, I'm sure we'll get some pretty good stories. You're not in the sport for what was it, 24 years, 23 years without having some pretty cool stories to tell. So I'm really excited about that, especially because he wasn't featured in the Netflix documentary. Maybe that's why, because he knew he had his own documentary coming out. So just like I think the Netflix documentary was released when it was to get us hyped. It worked. It worked on us three for sure. It got us ready for the season. I think this release date, right after the duels is specific as well to kind of reintroduce us and new fans as well to exactly who Kevin Harvick was while we listen to him on Sundays, see him on Sundays up in the booth now.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I just like seeing behind the scenes regardless. And like Eric said, I'm a big fan of like 30 for 30 style documentaries, kind of a retrospective of a career, because you get to pick up on the things you might have missed or the stats you forgot about, really just how good he was those early RCR years, man. That's what I'm looking forward to kind of reliving all over again.
I was just going to say, the whole thing with, Dale dying and him just kind of being like pushed into the biggest shoes you could ever fill ever, taking over that car right after he passed away. I hope they kind of go into detail about that whole transition and how that, I've seen some stuff here and there, but that's, to me, like, that's where a Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame career launched, was in the wake of a tragedy. So I hope they cover that, because that's super interesting how that all went down.
I agree. Looking forward to that. Also looking forward to the Daytona 500, obviously, this weekend. Someone that's not looking forward to it is Greg Biffle. New York Racing is attempting the Daytona 500 again. They made the show back in 2022 with Greg Biffle, but he said today on Twitter, released a statement, he would not be returning because the team still hasn't paid him for the handful of races that they raced together in 2022. Since then, a hauler picture that was released the day before with Greg Biffle's name on the car and whatnot has been covered up. So major drama with New York Racing. Not exactly sure who's going to be in the car tomorrow for qualifying or Thursday for the duels. But they're trying to make the show.
So there was like a car on the side of their hauler with Biffle's name on it, and they covered it up with what? An I Love New York magnet?
No, well, that would have been more clever than what they did. They just got colored tape that kind of matched the color of the car and covered it, and then took black tape and covered his name on the windshield. So not sure who's going to be driving that 44 car, but according to Greg Biffle, it won't be him.
It still says to be determined on J-Ski too, because I just looked up that before I got on the show. I was on J-Ski, and it still says to be determined, that New York Racing team. So as of right now, they still don't have anybody to drive that car. So, pay the man, pay the Biff, dude. You can't, you know what I mean? Come on.
They probably
pro Greg Biffle on this podcast.
It seems like the kind of guy you don't want to mess with either. Like somebody who just won't stop bothering you. But dude, you owe me money. Calling every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he'll remind you about some weird Truck Series stat like Eric does.
No, Biffle will show up at your front door with like one of those old Inspector Gadget outfits on, dude. Just hands to be like, I want my money. He'll show up at your door, Greg Biffle.
Let's see. Dale Jr., he is working on a new contract with NBC. So he revealed on the Dale Jr. download last week. They've had great conversations with all of the NASCAR TV partners. He says his home and his love is at NBC, and he'd love to be back with them. So we'll see where it goes. But right now, I really don't have a job in terms of broadcasting. And that is a quote by Dale Jr. And that brings us to our question of the week, because Charlie Warner, longtime listener and friend of the show since season 1, shout out to Charlie Warner. He asked, who are the broadcast teams for the Amazon and Turner portions of the NASCAR schedule? And flat out, no one knows. I don't think any of that's been determined. And I feel like that's a good segue here, because it seems like Dale Jr. might be in talks with those entities as well. He even alluded to, he had an interview with Marty Smith on the Dale Jr. download, where Marty was talking about his time with Turner Broadcasting, which is the TNT portion. And he asked, how was that? How'd you like working for them? So kind of alluding, he's talking to everybody. What do you guys think about Jr. possibly not returning to the booth this year, or possibly moving to another broadcast entity next year? And who do you think might fill some of those roles?
I hope Junior signs the contract back with NBC. With any sport, a good broadcast team is almost all about the chemistry, right? And like we know over the past couple of years, like that NBC team, I mean, they travel together, they go to the races together. That chemistry is real, and it's there, and it comes off in the broadcast in a positive way. So I'm hoping he can re-sign with those guys because they've got it going on. They know what they're doing. But Junior, I mean, what did he do, a Talladega race with Fox when they were rotating guests in, and he still was Junior, and he still did just as good. He brought that same energy to a dead booth anyway. So wherever he does land is going to be a big win for whatever network does get him. And then as far as who I hope to see, I think some of the same names that are always floated out there, like Alan Bestwick as a play-by-play guy, I would love to see get, Adam Alexander, he does a phenomenal job in the Xfinity series. Maybe he gets a shot at a different network doing the Cup series. It's kind of just the play-by-play guys that we could refer to. And then, as far as like the color commentators, you've got so many personalities out there that are retired that can fill that booth too. So it'll be, I'm really excited to see who they announce. And you would think it'd be soon because, well, I guess they have a year and a half kind of to do that because it's next season. But yeah, I'm excited to see how they fill that out.
Yeah, I would, like you said, there's a lot of great broadcasters in the lower series. One I thought about, Vince Welsh, who was the Truck Series commentator for the longest time. He was let go at the end of 2022, so he's looking for a NASCAR job. Maybe he could find something. SRX Series, it won't be returning this year, so we don't know about next year either. And Alan Bestwick, everyone's favorite Alan Bestwick, he used to broadcast on ESPN. He's out of a job there, so maybe he can make a return to NASCAR. Those are some names that I thought of that I would like to see make a return. How about you, Eric? What do you think?
Yeah, the first thing obviously that comes to mind is SRX being done. And, that was where Alan Bestwick and Matt Yoakum, they were the two that were over there, the main headliners. And yeah, I would assume they're going to be looking for work, and that's a voice that everyone could recognize and appreciate when they hear it. Another one too, like it depends on what they want to do. Like, are they going to do the same rotation stuff that they've been doing? Like, do they not want to sign people to big, long contracts anymore? Do they want to just do like 1 year, 2 year things in case it doesn't work out and they want to bring someone new in? We talked about, Mikey Waltrip, you know what I mean, in the Truck Series, to give a little bit of, give him a raise, give him a promotion, go from the trucks, give him a promotion, go to Xfinity or Cup Series. And there's a big push to go like into the dirt world. I think maybe we get somebody that maybe kind of knows a little bit of that too. I'm thinking of maybe like a Casey Kane, young guy in there to maybe be able to like bring two series together, the dirt world where he knows and he runs in now currently, and he was in the Cup Series, young enough, knows the vehicle, still drives. Maybe someone along those lines, like Trevor Bayne, David Reagan, these one-off guys that run the 500, so they're still in the car, they still kind of know they're around the teams, but they're on the race hubs, they're on these other shows, and they've been in the vehicle, and they're younger. And, to me, Matt's right. It's chemistry. You have to have that genuine excitement like Junior has. And you could just feel it, and like Alan has that same feel to me. Like he's genuinely excited when he's calling the race. And it's to me, that's huge as well. Clint Boyer gets a little too excited sometimes, you know what I mean? But I'm sure there's some people that could do well in that booth that could cross with the dirt and the NASCAR world. That's what I'm looking for.
I have a dream name that I would love to see on the TV side of things as far as play-by-play, and it's never going to happen because of where he's currently at and where he'll be at forever. I would love to see the Bagman come over to TV for whatever, a 3 or 4 race stretch for Amazon or TNT. And maybe he could, maybe MRN will let him do that since it's just a short window anyway. And
he's too good. I think those guys get to a certain point at your job where you are just too good to be replaced. Like, and especially like now at the height, like NASCAR, most people don't want to admit it, but we are in a very, very steep climb upward. And, right now isn't the time to throw someone new into the PRN or MRN network to try to call some of these races with the new drivers and the way that the playoffs and this and explain it in the car. So like, I just think those guys are rock solid on that end, and to get them to leave, man, it would probably take a lot. Like you'd have to do some greasy deals behind doors.
It would be nice if the PRN schedule lined up with those races, because Bags is with MRN where he could, he wouldn't be calling those races. So it really wouldn't be, in confliction with the radio side of things. I don't know. Logistically, that's somebody else's job, but I don't know. He's just my dream guy. Like, I love when NBC does the radio style broadcast, and he comes over to NBC to do it. So like, he's done it in the past. There is a precedent there, and he's always so good. And like, he's been doing radio forever. But man, that guy is excellent on TV, and he's so funny, and he brings the energy, and he knows what he's talking about, and he cares. And I mean, I would love to see that dude do a couple TV broadcasts.
That reminded me of a news story that I didn't include in the news because I didn't think it was that important. But Doug Rice of PRN, he's the voice of PRN. He is retiring after this season. Now that's got the conspiracy. It starts turning some wheels. Maybe he's in the talks with some television, but he's also been doing it for 36 years. So maybe he's just at that point where he would like to get off the road and retire. But like you said, he's got all the knowledge in the world, and he could lead a broadcast, throw him on TV. I think he's probably ready for one of those networks too,
Claire B. Lang is out of a job currently, unless she announced something recently. Maybe she does pit reporting for one of those networks.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things too. You take Mikey out of the booth and the trucks, you move him up. And then you fill him down there, give him a shot in the trucks like they did with Jamie Little and some of these other people. And, they weren't terrible. Did they work out? And probably going to no, but you have to give somebody an opportunity, because sometimes you might not think you could do it. And then all of a sudden you throw somebody in there like, holy shit, like I think we found something here with this guy. So maybe use that truck series as a way to bring some of these new people in for a shot.
If I was Amazon or TNT, you know who I would try to poach almost immediately? Two different guys. Both of them do a great job. Both of them have tons and tons of experience. And for some reason, Fox just keeps leaving them in the studio. Jamie Mack and Larry McReynolds. Larry wants to be at the track. I think Jamie Mack does a great job in the booth when they had given him the opportunity to call races. I say get those guys, poach them from Fox and get them out of the studio, put them on the road, and put them in 6 races or 10 races, whatever. I think it's like 6 and 6 for Turner and Prime, and get them going. I think those would be great steals if you could.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good call.
And then the last piece of news, not really news, but Denny Hamlin, he won the Clash. We didn't talk about it last Monday night. We figured take the week off, talk about it after the Super Bowl, and combine it all in this episode. Me and Matt, so crazy thing about the Clash, it was supposed to run Sunday, ends up running Saturday due to torrential downpours in California, mudslides, crazy stuff. I saw this one story of this house that's about to fall into the ocean because of the mudslides that happened last week, like some $13 million mansion. Doesn't sound like it's worth $13 million to me anymore, but but they got the race in on Saturday night. Me and Matt were able to watch it. Eric, I think you were doing a dart tournament down south in the southern part of the state. So did you ever get a chance to go back and watch any of it?
I did not. I was down at the Pennsylvania State Dart Tournament, and I was shooting darts all day that day. Then the following week, life. That next Saturday, I was at another qualifier. Same thing. Went back down. Try to get in the States again this past Saturday. So by that time it was just kind of a little bit too far gone for me to watch the thing. I kind of went over the highlights just like I do after a normal race, and checked out the social media afterward, and it seemed like it went fairly well from what I saw, and it served its purpose. It is kind of what I got out of it.
So, Matt, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but as an event, as it's been the last couple of years, horrible because it got forced to be on the night that it wasn't supposed to be. So we missed out on all the pageantry, the performances, all that stuff. As a short track race itself, I thought this was the best Clash we've seen. I thought the racing on track was awesome. We saw battles for the lead. We saw tons and tons of passing. I thought the cars looked really good. I have my fingers crossed that means good things for this short track package when we return to Martinsville and Richmond and Bristol this year. But Matt, what did you think?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, it sucks when a race that doesn't mean anything like that gets all the pageantry stripped away from it, because that's what kind of makes it unique or special, I guess. It didn't really have that special feeling like it did the first 2 years because it was just racing, which in a way is good. Take all the bullshit away. Let's go racing. Let's figure out these cars. New short track package performed really, really well. I really liked what I saw from a competitive advantage or standpoint, like probably the best clash that we've had at the Coliseum. The one thing that was, and it's a minor thing, and it's also like take it with a grain of salt, is when the leaders got out front, I noticed that they just kind of pulled away.
Yeah.
The good news is with a quarter mile track at the Coliseum is you can only pull away so much before you hit lap traffic. So where my concern falls into play, and it's just a realist, I'm not trying to be negative, just a real concern is at these, half mile, 3/4 mile tracks where it's a little bit more spread out, takes a little bit more time to get to lap traffic. Are the leaders going to be able to run away? So time will tell. Can't really, judge it off of one race on a 1/4 mile track, but everything else as far as passing, like they were able to pass. The cars got a little squirrely when they got hit, so they were able to get around. So overall, I liked what I saw.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had the same concerns too. Once you brought it up. But I'm staying more optimistic with the leaders being able to run away because we only had a 16-car field, something like that Saturday night. So
that's the other thing too.
So you add double the amount of cars versus double the amount of track too. So hopefully it kind of stays kind of similar. I know usually you don't hit lap traffic at Martinsville until close to stage end of the first stage or so. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And I know we're not doing checkers and wreckers, but I have to give a huge checkers to NASCAR and the broadcast partners for getting that show in on Saturday because it looked like it was a monumental feat. Fox apparently really lucked out they already had the time slot for the heat races that kind of change qualifying and all that. So big kudos to NASCAR for getting it done. And it seems like there's a lot of talk that it's going to go possibly to Mexico City next year. Definitely going to be moving out of LA. Their 3-year contract ended after that event. So we'll see if it goes either to Canada or Mexico. Those seem to be the two spots. I can't imagine racing in Canada in early February though. I don't know if anyone show up.
I'm the only one who thought about that.
Right?
Yeah, I heard Canada floating around too, and it's like, what are we gonna do? Race snow plows? What are we doing?
Oh, you want to know what? That'd be a hell of a race, though. They do some pretty cool snowmobile racing up there too. So you never know. But that's all I have for NASCAR news. Like I said, it's Speed Weeks, baby. We got qualifying tomorrow night, which is Wednesday. We have the duels on Thursday. But let's talk about the teams. So every year we usually would do like a buy or sell. Are you buying the stock of this guy? Are you selling the stock? Are you holding? So we're kind of doing the same this year. But this year we've grouped them into teams, and we'll kind of do a little buy and sell on the teams and the driver at the same time, because there's some shakeups here, and especially with like SHR and stuff that I think we should get into. But going in alphabetical order, I don't want to anyone think I'm a homer going straight for 23-11 for any other reason. But Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace. Tyler Reddick finished in 6th this season, and Bubba Wallace finished in 10th. Do you guys think that they will perform better or worse or about the same in 2024? Any crazy early season predictions as well?
I consider 23-11. I kind of went through them like A teams, B teams, C teams, D teams. You know what I mean? Just gave them overall just generic grades. We all know who the top teams are, and I consider them an A team. And for me, they only could go up from here because Bubba, didn't have a win. So you need to get a win in order to get, and I could see it coming. And there was many chances last year that he could have gotten that win. So to me, Reddick, road course, always going to have a chance to win there. And he proved that other than road courses, he has the speed and ability to win anywhere. So there's wins there. Bubba, I can see the win there. So I think they only could go up from here.
Yeah, I'm with Eric on that one as well. Reddick, he had 2 wins. We all know the talent that he has, right? So I'm expecting him to probably double that. I mean, he's had some races where he was the best car last year where he didn't even finish the race, due to whatever circumstances.
Yeah.
So if they could just get those races completed and finished, and if he could just keep himself in position, I expect him to win 3-4 races, which would be an improvement over the 2 that he won. And then Bubba, I told you guys this all off season long. He's kind of my dark horse, not for a championship, right? But
yeah.
I think he's a dark horse. I'm expecting Bubba to win 2 or 3 regular season races.
Okay.
I'm expecting Bubba to get to a round of 12, round of 8. I don't know if I'm not. I'm not about to say he's going to go to the round of 4, but I'm expecting that round of 12, round of 8. I'm expecting 23-11 to have a really good season. We've been seeing it build up and build up and build up, and they've got the funds and the resources now. They got their new is the new building finished? I know we saw it in the documentary getting built.
Yeah, I believe it is finished. I think they're moving in at some time this season.
They got the new digs going at headquarters, and I just think that they have the right momentum going, and momentum is everything. And we've got the talent with Reddick and Bubba, so I think both of them see improvements this year. And that's I'm expecting big things out of both of them.
So I do this every year. I go on the Tyler Reddick victory tour in the off season, and I was watching the Kansas playoff race because Reddick did win that. I tell you what, it was a heartbreaker because Bubba Wallace was the best car for a lot of that day before he lost. He just had a flat and pancaked the wall. I think he led like 100-some laps early on in that race.
Did he have the gold and black car that race, Bubba?
I think so. I think it was.
He had a rocket ship that day. It was just out front. Yeah, I remember that.
And then after he got taken out, Larson stunk up the show for the rest of the race until Reddick made some late moves there. I don't see Bubba winning as many races as Matt does, but I do see him winning at least 1, possibly 2 races. 1 in the regular season, possibly a second one in the playoffs to clinch his way. But I think at this point, you finished top 10 in points last year. Both of your drivers, you have to do the same. I think you have to stay the same, if not better. Reddick, I think the only way you do better is clean up the playoffs and make it to that round of 4. Does Bubba make it to the round of 4? I don't think so, but I think he could easily make it to the round of 8 if they keep the momentum they had going from last year. The thing is, Toyota has a new body style. That's the great unknown when it comes to Toyota. We'll see how that goes, but I'm liking 23-11 this year. Moving on to the Fs, front row racing. We have Michael McDowell, who finished 15th in points, and he had 1 win. He won at the Indy Road Course. And then Todd Gilliland, he finished 28th in points. Now, he bounced around between that car and another car, a Rick Ware car. He didn't have the full-time ride last year. This year, he will be full-time. Do you think McDowell makes the playoffs a second year in a row? Do you think they kind of float in the top 20s, top 30s? What are you thinking out of front row motorsports?
I don't think McDowell wins a race this year. I listen, he's got the talent and everything, right? But I just think that there's too much other talent in the series that there's not going to be room for him to win a race, right? Yeah. That's just, he finished he finished 15th because he made the playoffs, but I don't know where he would have finished without making the playoffs. But I expect Michael McDowell to be somewhere right outside the cut line, right? Like 17 through maybe 19 is where I expect McDowell to finish the season. And then Todd Gilliland, I actually do expect him to make a little bit of a jump, because when you're in 28th, the only real place to go is up. The only thing is he had no top 5s, even at the super speedways. He only had 4 top 10s. When I say improvement from him, I'm saying from 28th to 25th, 24th, which, hey, listen, jumping 4 or 5 spots in a standings year over year.
Oh yeah.
Is freaking decent. So I'm expecting him to be in that 25, 26 range, but up, which is an improvement.
I think that's pretty, not logical expectations, but yeah, like good expectations. What about you, Eric? You on the same page with that one?
Yeah, I think McDowell, that chance of that team just in general is pretty much super speedway / road course. Well, just because of McDowell.
Yeah.
Gilliland's good on road courses as well. I can't deny that. He qualifies well at certain races where he's top 5, top 10 qualifying. And I just think that team, when you get down to that caliber, they're putting a lot more resources into one of those cars, not both of them.
Yeah.
So I think there's always going to be an advantage for Michael McDowell, and Gilliland's always going to kind of have a disadvantage. But Matt, to your point, I think he overperforms in that 38 car this year and does better than the equipment that they're giving him.
I agree with you guys. I think McDowell, he's gonna ride that cutoff line pretty much all season. I think he's gonna be like near the top 10 for a little bit, kind of fall back and forth. The thing is, we are losing a road course. Indy's going back to the oval, so that's one last opportunity for him there. But I could see him winning at Sonoma. He's usually pretty good at Sonoma. Coda maybe. So yeah, I'm thinking like right around 17th to 15th place for McDowell again this year, and then Gilliland, like you said, top 25 would be goal at the end of the season. But I mean, man, the competition is so close from like 16th to 20th, and then from like 20th to 28th. It's kind of interesting to look at those sections, especially with like the SHR guys and stuff, and that's a big unknown. But let's move on to Joe Gibbs Racing. We have Christopher Bell. He finished 4th for the second year in a row. We have Denny Hamlin, who finished 5th. Martin Truex Jr. finished 11th. And then Ty Gibbs, the rookie, finished 18th in points. What do you guys expect out of those 4 at Gibbs? About the same, a little bit worse from any of those guys, a little bit better from any of those guys?
I have Denny staying the same. Denny's gonna be Denny.
Yeah.
Denny's gonna have the same year. You could always count on Denny. So I have him as a neutral. He's gonna do the same thing.
Ditto me for that one. So we don't have to repeat ourselves. I have the same exact thought with you. Yep.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr., he seems to go up and down. Up and down. He had an up year. I'm going to think he regresses. There's no way he gets 3 wins this year. I think that goes down to maybe a win, maybe struggles to get a win. Christopher Bell is nowhere but going up. He is one of the hot commodities in the NASCAR field right now, and I think he is the next William Byron-esque 6-win season driver out there, as we see Whitey rocking the shirt. And you have Ty Gibbs, where I think he wins a race. I think I'm on as high with Ty Gibbs as I think maybe Matt might be with Bubba Wallace. I'm kind of in that field with Ty Gibbs, where I think there's a great possibility for a win, maybe 2 there at a tie, just because the speed he showed as a rookie, the discipline he showed as a rookie, and I think that carries over into this season.
If you're listening to us and you're, on Spotify or whatever, and you're pulling up to your destination at this point in the podcast, and you just want to skip ahead 15 or 30 seconds, go ahead and do so, because everything that Eric just said is exactly what I was going to say. The only thing is, I think Ty is going to win. I think Ty's going to win 2 or 3 races this year, and that includes in the playoffs. I think he's poised for a breakout year this year. Every year, I think the 3 of us kind of get high on someone. I'm high on Bubba, and I'm high on Ty to have big time improvements. But everything else that you said, like Martin Truex Jr., I feel the same way. I hope I'm wrong, because obviously you guys know I love Martin, but
yeah.
I think this might be it for him. I think he might have that slump year and then call it quits. Christopher Bell again. I think he's going to win 4, 5, 6 races this year, and then Denny's going to be Denny, and I'm just going to say it. I'm going to put the cart before the horse here. Denny's my champion this year.
Wow. You think he finally gets it done?
Denny Hamlin will win the championship this year.
I mean, how many times has he been so close? So I echo all of those statements. I think Bell has the breakout year, just like William Byron had last year. I know he struggled a little bit in the middle of the season this past season, but I think they clean up a lot of the issues they had. He had some pit crew changes, some pit crew issues, like all sorts of stuff. I think Bell, another championship contender year. If not, he's just going to barely miss the round of 4. Same with you guys. Hamlin's Hamlin. I think he's going to stay consistent. I think he's still just as hungry as ever. Unfortunately, I agree with Martin Truex Jr. Have we seen the slump? Have we seen the end? We know these guys, like, usually once you start hitting this age, you fall off a cliff in performance. Do we see another 3-win season? I don't know. And then
what happened with him in the playoffs? Like,
he just apart.
It was brutal.
That was just
brutal.
Yeah. And I
felt terrible for him. Like, it was that bad of a joke. Like, I felt bad.
Like, he was going at his team. He was going at James Smalls. I think that it gets so bad that there's a crew chief change midway through the year.
Yeah, I could see that happening too. I mean,
a little bold prediction.
Yeah, we've been speculating on him and his crew chief ever since. Who's his last crew chief left and retired? Oh man, I feel Cole Pern. Ever since Cole Pern left, we're like, man, that was the death nail for Martin Truex Jr.
Cole
in my
Pern in the booth. Wild card.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, why not? You always need a crew chief in the booth, and he's still pretty young.
He's funny too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if he could wear t-shirts on air like he did in the booth, like he did on the pit box though. And then Ty Gibbs, man, I could see him going off and having a breakout year and winning, multiple races. And then I could see him not winning a race, but still making the playoffs on points. I'm still reserved on him. I think he might step on some people's toes this season and
for sure.
And learn some lessons, because I think he's starting to get a little ballsy, which I think is a good thing, So
Ty Gibbs might be our Brad Keselowski for Eric last year, or was it 2 years ago, where he was a year ahead of schedule.
Could be, but if he won multiple races, wouldn't shock me either.
Right.
It's like, man, I just don't know. It's a little too early to tell. But man, he finished 18th in his rookie season. That's a pretty good feat for that. So we'll see there. Since we are live, you guys want to take a quick break, and then we'll come back. And if you're not listening live, it's going to sound real weird because we'll be right back in a second. All right. And we are back just like we never left. Okay. Hendrick Motorsports. This is an interesting one because half of their team did very well and half of them didn't because of injuries. So, Kyle Larson finished second in points. William Byron finished third in points. Chase Elliott finished 17th in points. And Alex Bowman finished 20th in points. As a whole, do you think Hendrick does better? Do any of those guys do better, worse, or about the same?
I'm expecting sorry, Eric, go ahead.
I was gonna say as a whole, I know Matt here is our resident Chase Elliott fan, so I figured I'll give my little 2 cents and then let Matt have his HMS time here. But I think just up, like, you can't get any worse than what you have. Your two drivers, the 9 and the 48, are only going to go up because they're obviously injuries last year, like Whitey had mentioned. So to me, William Byron's standard to me is still 6. He can go out and get 6 wins again. There's no doubt about it that he has the opportunity and the skill and talent and the car to go ahead and do that. Larson is, to me, is a Denny. He's going to stay. He's going to Larson, and the 9 car, tremendous. Everyone says this is his worst season ever. Oh, he had such a bad season. He did not have as bad of a season as I think everyone thinks.
No,
it's just the circumstances around it. And, there was a little bit of racing differently to try to make up and get in and do certain things that I don't think that team normally would do. So you give them a full season, no injuries, no nothing. That team has they're just going to go up. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's Hendrick Motorsports.
I don't know how anyone could say Chase Elliott had a bad season when he finished 17th behind the cut line, the best he could finish. Out of all those people that ran full seasons, he missed how many races, Matt? 10? 7. He missed 7 races. That includes the suspension race too?
Including the suspension. He missed 7 races. Well, here's the other thing too. Let me ask you guys something. Would you guys have said last year, without maybe the stats in front of you, maybe you have them in front of you, that Joey Logano had a pretty good season last year?
No.
Off the top of your head.
I would say
not
no.
really. Yeah.
Okay, bad example. Bad example. I'll back off that example. How about Martin Truex? I mean, up until the playoffs, right?
He had a great season up until the playoffs. Yeah.
Okay, so Martin Truex, who ran a full season, Chase, who missed 7 races last year. Martin Truex had 9 top 5s. Chase still had 7.
Yeah.
Martin Truex had 17 top 10s. Chase still had 15. So if you put it into perspective like that, he was right there. He missed 7 races due to his own I don't want to call it stupidity, due to whatever. Injuries and then stupidity. He did miss 1 race due to his own stupidity.
That was stupid to get himself suspended doing that.
That was yes. Yeah. But again, like Eric said, great point where, Chase was running differently. He had a lot of ground to make up. There was a lot of different decisions. They were calling races differently from the top of his box to try to, make up some ground. So I expect Chase obviously to go up from there. I expect Chase to get, I don't think he's going to set the world. I don't think he's going to have a 5 or 6 win season, but I expect Chase to win 3 or 4. I expect Larson to be Larson, just like Denny is Denny. I expect Larson to be Larson. I expect Byron to be Byron. I expect him to have a pretty similar. I actually, if you want to get technical, I think Byron's going to take a little bit of a step back. And by that, I think he's still going to win, what is it? Maybe 4 or 5 races, not the 6 that he won last year.
Yeah.
And then the question mark for me is that 48 and Alex Bowman. I mean, the only place to go is up from him, right? But I don't know. Is he going to win a race? Yeah. Bowman's good for usually one of those, like, where the hell did he come from, winning a race type of year. I think he'll win a race, maybe 2 throughout the course of the year. Technically an upgrade from last year, but is that good enough for Hendrick? I don't know, because it's a contract year, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have some looming details with him that may or may not be happening, after this season. So we'll see, but it's going to be interesting. But I think he's the one that's going to be most interesting because you don't know what you're going to get.
I think he has a shot to win a 500, to be honest with you.
Alex Bowman? I think so too.
Sure.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Sure he does. But
because my thing was last year, if I recall correctly, I think he started out really, really well until he got hurt.
Yeah.
And once he got hurt, he never responded and never came back from it, which acceptable. You could see that, you know what I mean?
Right.
But
he had a broken neck,
I
like
think
that's
he was
tough.
poised for a year last year without getting hurt. Like, I think he might have went on a run in the beginning, and that's why I say it now, like the 500. One of these first 10 races is when you're one of those out, maybe the number 4 car out of a 4-car team. In these first 10 races, before everyone gets their hands on and really gets an idea of where the speed is coming from, that's your opportunity to win a race and get locked in. Is in the first 10 races when everyone still doesn't know. That's a good opportunity for a car like the 48 to get a win.
That's what I mean, because obviously he has the talent. And yeah, you're right. He did. Yeah. He was running really good before his injury, and then he came back, and that was that. But you don't know. That's what I mean by you don't know what Alex Bowman you're going to get. So
right.
Would I be surprised if he won 3 or 4 races this year? No, absolutely not. I'm just, as I go down the list and I figure this guy's going to win 2 or 3 races, this guy's going to win 4 or 5 races, and we're filling out the wins. Where does Alex Bowman's win fit in? And I'm kind of having a hard time placing him in a win. But again, he's one of those guys that can win anywhere. Yeah, if what I'm saying makes sense, you know what I mean?
To me, he's like, well, the way what we're doing now is how we said Denny's gonna Denny, Larson's gonna Larson. You can't say that about Alex Bowman. You can't he's not even gonna. You can't repeat that. There's nothing there. He didn't have the consistency year in and year out all the way through to really give him that solid. Like, okay, yeah, 1 win. Oh, I could guarantee him a win. He's still on that cusp.
Yeah, I think if he doesn't get an early season win, he's going to be one of those playoff driver bubble type guys. Like, oh, is Alex Bowman on the cut? And I'm not saying like he's going to be on the outside looking in. He might be like 15th or 14th
one of those
in
guys
points.
Trying to protect his
battling for his position. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if he rounded off 2 or 3 wins. For some reason, maybe it's because it's home track, Phoenix jumping out real early. I'm like, man, I could see Bowman winning early at Phoenix, maybe Las Vegas, maybe even Atlanta next week after the Daytona 500. But again, he had a pretty serious injury last year. Like that neck fracture was no joke, where who knows if that's still kind of plaguing his back too. And some of the pain is still there or not. I know Denny mentioned it on his podcast when he broke his back in a very similar area. He felt it for almost a year, if not a little bit longer. It's just a very slow healing process. So we'll see how he does. I think Byron might take a step back. I think he might be where he's going to win a couple races, but might struggle to get into the championship 4. Definitely definitely a round of 8 driver. I see Chase the same, finishing in the top 10, might struggle to make it to the championship 4, and then Bowman, battling for that playoff spot. And like you said, Larson's going to Larson, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the championship 4 once again. Someone who got his win at the Daytona 500 last year, JTG Doherty and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they finished 16th, which is the last spot in the playoffs, but they made the playoffs. What do you guys think about Ricky Stenhouse Jr.?
I think he's gotten better over the last couple of years. I think a single car team helps him tremendously. I think he likes being a single car team, and I think that puts all focus on him, all research on him, and they could really just go to work and put out a fast race car each week. And to me, it's been showing on the racetrack that he has stepped up a little bit, and he's learned to not be Ricky Wreckfest out there and taking everybody out. I feel like it hasn't been that. It's been a few years since we're like, oh, Ricky Stenhouse again. Oh, here it goes. 10 laps in, Ricky's gonna wreck everybody. I feel like we haven't said that in a while. So to me, I think there is a ceiling for him, and that was last year, like super speedway races. But I think he's going to perform just as well. I think he has any shot as anybody at those super speedway races, and certain racetracks qualifies well, show speed. But I think it's going to be more or less the same exact season, that we're going to get out of that 47.
I'm right on board with everything that Eric just said. Ricky is always, for as long as he's in the current team that he's with, he's just going to be one of those bubble guys. He's either just in or he's fighting to get in. He's just going to be right there. When I look at his stats, his top 5s and his top 10s, I do expect him to have a slight improvement. He had 2 top 5s last year. I'm expecting that to bump up by a race or two, maybe 3 or 4 top 5s. And then you look at the 9 top 10s that he had. I'm expecting to get that to double digits for him as well. As far as the one win, maybe a Bristol, maybe a super speedway, maybe a Martinsville if the cars fall the right way. I don't see him, racing at the quote unquote, or I don't see him winning rather at the quote unquote cookie cutter, tracks, the 1.5 miles. But right around the same for Ricky.
I disagree with you guys. I think he's going to drop. I think if he doesn't get that lucky win, or not a lucky win, but that win at a super speedway, I think he's finishing right around 25th, maybe 22nd to 20th, that kind of area. I feel like that Daytona 500 win really helped him keep the momentum going and everything like that. I don't know. I don't see it out of Ricky this year. He didn't do much like from half the season on, really. He was kind of an afterthought for me. So, but again, we'll see. He could go out there and win the Daytona 500 second year in a row and wreck half the field behind them. So who knows? We'll see this Sunday. And then there's Atlanta the next week too. So he does have his opportunities. A team, I don't even know what to think about Kaulig Racing right now. AJ Allmendinger, he finished 21st. He's going back to the Xfinity Series full time. He's going to run that car part time. And then Justin Haley finished 26th. He's jumping over to Rick Ware. So do you think Justin Haley does better in Rick Ware than Kaulig does, or he did in Kaulig equipment? And do you think Kaulig improves or drops down? I'm sorry, Justin Haley is going to be being replaced by Daniel Hemrick, who he had a shot with RCR a couple of years ago in that 8 car, and he kind of struggled in right around 20th position all the time anyway. So what do you guys think about all that?
I think Daniel Hemrick is going to be a mid-20s standing type of guy 24th through 26th type deal. Listen, he might be a good guy and all that. I don't know, but I just was never sold on Daniel Hemrick. I'm still not.
Yeah.
And then as far as Justin Haley, Dale Jr. seems to be pretty high on Justin Haley. So, I mean, he knows better than I would. So I'm going to say if Dale Jr. is high on Justin Haley at Rick Ware, then I am too. And then AJ, I think he's going to be a competitor to win the championship down in the Xfinity Series.
All right. I agree with all that, I think. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, I have Kaulig down as just a great veteran team that could definitely steal a win. Those two guys, I think AJ, obviously, anytime he gets in a road course, it's game on for him.
But he's only going part-time too now. I think who's jumping in that car with him? Josh Williams, and I think SVG might run a race or two for Kaulig in the Cup Series. I don't know though.
The Kaulig, I don't know. I'm all confused on who's going to be in that car, but it's not Haley and Allmendinger, right?
No.
No, it's right now it's Hemrick and AJ, as far as I know, for the 500 act the lineup. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So to me, anytime you put AJ in the car, that's like he has your best shot for Kaulig Racing to win. Like obviously that's the car, that's the guy. I agree with Matt. The Hemrick, he's going to be one of those guys. His name, he'll stay there, maybe run around in those back marker cars like always, the McDowells or that whole team, that tier, like the Kaz Grallas, the Gillilands, you know what I mean? They all kind of just hover there. And towards the end of the year, they become fun to watch, though, that little group, because they are, in the battle down there. Some of them could be on the call, get in to win. But I actually have Rick Ware Racing as one of my teams that, like, I think is going to overperform, and it's because of Justin Haley. I liked him when he was in that 31 car. I thought he showed a lot of speed, and I don't think he got the fair share that he should have there, and getting sent here, getting sent there. Like, I just think he's like, okay, this team wants me. I'm gonna go to the team that wants me. You want me in your car, that's where I'm gonna go. And their new alliance over there at Ford, and it just, to me, I think Rick Ware, like, I think they want to get rid of that laughing stock of who they were and try to change that around. And to me, on the outside, it looks like they're making the right moves to get better. Some teams, they're not. Some teams are just stale. They're there. They're in the Cup Series. It is what it is. To me, from last year to this year, the moves that they made, I think it looks like Justin Haley is going to definitely perform better in Rick Ware Racing than Kaulig is. I think Kaulig, I said it last year, they regressed again, and they don't know what to do. I feel like they keep fumbling the bag, as they say.
I think I know what they should do. Sell one of those charters and take that money and invest it back into the program. Let's see. Legacy Motorsports. This one we're definitely keeping an eye on. Eric Jones finished 27th. Noah Gragson finished 33rd. Of course, his season was cut short. He's heading over to SHR. He'll be replaced by John Hunter Nemechek. What do you guys think? Where does Legacy go with their new Toyota affiliation?
I have them as a C team right now. That's just where they're at. They got the short end of the deal last year. We all know, if you're a new listener, we know that they didn't get any resources. They were basically dead last over in the Chevy camp. So this is the first year they're going with the Toyotas. And like Whitey alluded to earlier in the show, kind of scary, kind of exciting at the same time, because we don't know what's going to happen with the new body. So not only are you getting a new body, you're going to a new manufacturer, and they're also running their very own pit crews for the first time in-house. They are not getting pit crews from JGR. They went out and they got their own pit crews, their own. So they're trying to do it on their own as another Toyota #1 team. And, sometimes those programs take a year or two to really come around and to really, sink your feet into the ground and get a really solid base in the Cup Series. I'm looking at them with the switch to Toyota, which is the right move, where they're going to get #1 resources. as RFK when they first came in. I think it's going to be a very similar situation, where they show flashes of, ooh, this team is going to be something, but they're also going to struggle. And, it's going to take a year or two for them to really maybe get those wins rolling. I think they'll be in contention just off of pure speed that the Toyotas are going to have. But to seal the deal, it's a possibility, but I still think it's an uphill battle.
I'm going to steal a phrase from the college football world that you hear often when there's, a new coach that comes into town or just something shifting with the program is legacy is a year away from being a year away. Yes. So I think this year and next year, with all the changes, it's going to be a learning curve. They've got the right drivers. I've got all the confidence in the world in the talent, of course, of Eric Jones. I think that he is at his ceiling, a championship caliber driver when in the right equipment. And then with Noah Gragson, if he could just keep his head on straight, we've seen what he could do in the Xfinity Series.
Well, Noah's not in there now, though. Noah's going to SHR.
I'm sorry. I don't know what. I'm sorry. I meant John Hunter. Yeah. You're right. I feel the same way about John Hunter too. Like he dropped down back into the lower series. He raced. He got better. He shows flashes. He obviously has the talent. I just think it's going to take a little bit of time, but they've got the right folks in the front office with Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson to champion. They've got literally championship caliber DNA within that organization. So I think for the next 2 years, it's just going to be learning. Like Eric said, you're going to see flashes. EJ has a pretty good habit, I would say, of the second half of the season, really turning it on, taking everything that he's learned in the first half of the season, second half of the season. It's like, ooh, EJ is maybe going to win the Southern 500. Ooh, EJ might win the Bristol Night Race. So that's what I expect out of them.
I agree somewhat. I think we're going to see a little bit we're going to see a jump from 27th and 33rd though. I expect Jones to finish out in the top 20 of points. And possibly, I don't know if he'll battle on the cut line like some of the other guys, but he'll definitely have glimpses where it's like, oh, he can win this race. If the cards play out right, he could win. And win his way into the playoffs. John Hunter Nemechek, I'm thinking 28th to 20th, somewhere in there. You got to finish better than where the car finished last year, and I think he will.
I think so too.
Yeah, and
I think Noah had a tear like that. The precedent Noah set there is not awful, a high one. Yeah. So if John Hunter doesn't go out there and beat that season, then I don't think it's a John Hunter issue even. I think it's a legacy. What did you do? You didn't do enough to put these drivers in a situation to win. Because I think John Hunter, if you can't beat the season, no, I can't even. I don't want to get distracted by it, but it was so bad. It was so bad.
When I say they're a year away from being a year away, I don't mean they're gonna be a possible fringe playoff team in 2 years. I think that they can get up to the 23-11 caliber. Jimmy Johnson, dude, he doesn't know how to lose for long, right? He has the championship caliber mentality. Matty Kenseth, same thing, championship caliber mentality. I think they're going to figure it out. It's going to take some time, and then they're going to be up there with the best of the best.
I'm honestly tethering my expectations because in my mind, hearing all of the changes they made in my head, I'm like, Eric Jones is going to win a race before the playoffs, but at the same time, it's or they could struggle really hard up until the Coke 600.
Right. Yeah.
And then win the Coke 600, that's where my mind's going. And I think if they don't win, that's kind of where he's going to finish, right around 20th, maybe 17th, in between there,
Always a day late, $1 short. You know what I mean? It feels like that,
Yeah. The playoffs will start and he'll win Darlington again, or he'll win the Bristol Night Race. Again, or no, that was Chris Buescher that one year.
His best shot, because he's joining the Toyota camp, is Talladega.
Yeah.
I believe Air Jones is amazing. Like his super speedway, I think he's underrated. I don't think he's talked enough on super speedways. He is one of the best super speedway racers in the field.
He's always around at the end.
Me being a homer.
He's always around at the end.
Blaney screwed him out of one. Chastain screwed him out of one, and Larson screwed him out of one. And when he was right up there in the top 3, so it's just like, oof. I think Dega would be where he would get it with the help now from the extended Toyota family.
I think you're right on that one because, like you said, how many times has he been right there and someone makes a move to fuck him over at the end?
1,500 feet, man. Oh.
Another place I'm thinking. He used to run really good in a Toyota at Pocono. We'll see. We'll see what he does at Pocono. Again, though, the Gibbs cars in general always ran really well at Pocono, and they're not sharing information, so that could be that detriment that we see. That's going to be the struggle, is them not being in with Gibbs.
I kind of like that. Don't get bad tendencies from another team. Start out like I think Jimmy Johnson right now is okay with struggling for the year or two, like Matt is saying, and building themselves up and creating the team chemistry within them. I think that is kind of the goal that Jimmy's going for. And more power to him. I probably would try to do the same thing. Create your own identity.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm excited for you and for Legacy and for Toyota in general. Going to be a fun season as a new Toyota fan. Let's see. Penske. Ryan Blaney, he won the championship. Joey Logano finished in 12th. He had a real shit first round in the second round in the playoffs. And then Austin Cindric, 24th. We'll lump in the Wood Brothers 31, Harrison Burr, and he finished in 31st. So, Penske as a whole, you're kind of hitting all the tiers. You have the championship, you have top 15, and then top 25, and then 31st. So what do you guys think about that?
It's hard. This one, so out of everything, out of all the teams, out of all the drivers, I struggled the most with 2 of the guys that you just talked about. So I did not struggle with Harrison. I think he's going to be one of those mid-20s guys. He hasn't shown me anything to prove otherwise. So I didn't struggle with him. I think I kind of know where he's going to be. The 2, excuse me, the 2 better start performing.
Yeah.
He did have flashes, which is why I think he's going to win a race.
Yeah.
I think he'll figure it out all race. I think he's going to get more top 5s, more top 10s than he did last year. I expect an improvement from Cindric. Joey, I kind of expect the same from Joey. Right around what he did last year is what I think he's going to do this year. And Blaney, he was so hot at the end of that season last year. Can he carry it over? I think that's one of the biggest storylines going into this season. Can he carry the championship momentum over, or is he going to have that championship hangover like a lot of have? What Blaney are we going to see?
And what Ford Mustang are we going to see? They also have a new body, So
that's exactly, I was just going to say, I think the biggest question mark is the Ford body coming up. So I think Blaney's going to regress just a little bit. And I think Logano, same thing with he's going to stay right around what he did last year. The 2 of Cindric needs to perform better.
Yeah.
And then Harrison, I'm sorry, but I don't expect much out of him.
No, I agree. The 2 should be a championship caliber car. I feel like the 2
should be.
I feel like the 2 used to be the flagship car at Penske, right? And then Joey Logano kind of took that as Brad stepped away. But man, I don't know. I see Logano kind of doing the same. Like either he gets hot in the playoffs or he doesn't. How about you, Eric? What do you think?
I am in full agreement with Cindric. I think this is make or break. I think it's break for him. Like, I don't think there's no coming back for Cindric with me. I am fully out on Austin Cindric. I think he is the only place that he's actually semi-decent is at super speedways at pushing people, which he's actually kind of too aggressive at doing.
Yeah.
So with what he's the best at doing and putting himself in the chance to win at those super speedways, he actually kind of takes himself out because he gets too aggressive. I agree with Whitey's point. I looked at this today when I knew we were going to talk about teams. That 2, what he is doing to the legacy and what that 2 car was, it is just despicable. That is a championship caliber car and team, obviously back-to-back with the 22 and 12. But as a whole, Penske struggles during the season. They're up and down.
Yeah.
You think they're doing bad, you think they're doing good, and then they get hot. So I think they're a playoff team. I think that's like Blaney got hot in the playoffs. Logano gets hot in the playoffs. Cindric, nah. I think he doesn't even – I don't think he gets better. I think he stays the same too, and I think that causes the, quote-unquote mainstream to start talking about him and what are they going to do and who's going to be in that 2 car. I really think it's going to struggle that bad over there, and I think – look at the expectations of 22 and the 12. The 12 rose to that occasion and got the job done. The 2 is just not. I know he's still young and is still, only a few seasons in, but to me – man, there's so much talent out there and other drivers that they could maybe poach now, how we see, drivers going from team to team that, man, that 2 car, it's just, to me, it's got to be back in victory lane and running for championships. And Austin Cindric, in my opinion, doesn't give that car or team the opportunity to do that.
Fair. Those are all fair criticisms.
I totally agree. I think part of the problem is I don't know if Cindric would be done because he is part of the family. Like legit, his father kind of runs the team, We'll see if he changes crew chiefs throughout the season. The first nail in the coffin is always the crew chief change. We'll see what happens there. I agree. I don't know how Logano is going to perform. I don't know how Blaney. Does Blaney have a breakout year and win multiple races?
I think Blaney's confidence just shot through
up
the goddamn roof, dude. To the point where you saw last year in that documentary, and if you haven't seen the documentary, they, a lot of in-car audio, a lot of, behind the scenes of conversations that went down. And to me, the biggest jump was Blaney's confidence in himself to go out there and beat them and run with the best of the best and say, hey, I'm going to put my car here. Look what I'm doing. He can't do that. Oh, shit, I'm going to go right around him. And I think confidence is key. Look at what one win does to certain teams to give them that confidence, that boost. So let alone 3 throughout the end of the playoffs, sealing the deal with the championship. I think Blaney probably stays right where he's at I could see him getting another 3 wins.
Yeah, I can see Blaney finishing in the top 8, maybe missing the round of 4. Or like you said, man, that championship slump like that next year, he might get real cold. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. And yeah, Wood Brothers.
Like I said, they're a hard one to nail down. They really are. And
then the Wood Brothers, Harrison Burton, you got to get out of 31st. I don't see him finishing past 28th in the overall standings. But if he keeps bringing that money, he might just stay in that car. So who knows?
Think about it like this, quick, Whitey, before we move on.
Yeah.
The 12 and the 22, the past 2 seasons, they don't win that championship. Let's say Larson and William Byron win that. What are we talking about, Penske?
Falling off a cliff like SHR. And then is it a Ford problem?
It's that drastic of a change. That's why I want to get Matt saying it's so hard. And that's what I want to paint the picture to the fans. Like, I don't want to say, I'm going to say it. Luck, the 12 and the 22 lucked into these championships in the last 2 seasons because they were not the best team by far throughout the season.
Or the playoffs.
And I know playoffs it comes in, but man, it's that drastic where if they don't win that championship, I think everyone is looking at Penske in a completely different light.
I think so too. I totally agree. And in the only way you just blame the car and the Mustang and the bad changes they made.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah. That's it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's see. RCR, we have Kyle Busch who finished 14th, and then we have Austin Dillon who finished 29th.
I feel the same about Austin Dillon as I do Austin Cindric. The same exact thing goes. Everything I said about Cindric, right to Dillon. the car, the number, the legacy, not doing it.
Yeah.
Give someone else an opportunity and just get Kyle Busch a compatible teammate that could give him information to help the team grow rather than stay stagnant. Austin Dillon is doing what Richard Petty was for all those years, just being in the sport, using his name, collecting a paycheck, and running on Sundays, and that's just what he does. And to me, Kyle Busch, I don't know what to think about his last season because did he win 3 races? Yes.
Started out real hot. Yeah.
Yes. Was it like up and down after that? Yeah. Was it the first year with the new team? Will that shake out? Will that improve? I don't think Kyle Busch wins 3 races this year. I think RCR as a whole is behind some of these other teams that I'm seeing this year with the drivers coming back. I think RCR, I had it circled as one of my quote unquote, like maybe crazy wild offseason predictions, but I think RCR struggles, and I think Kyle Busch might struggle. Everyone's high on Kyle Busch, but for some reason, my gut is telling me that I don't know, like something there with it's RCR, and that like something with that is just not sitting well with me.
Yeah.
RCR, let's call it like it is. RCR is a 3rd-tier team.
Yeah.
I have him as a B+ team overall. You know what I mean? Like Kyle Busch is an A+ driver, but then you got to throw Austin Dillon in there. Does he help or hurt the team? He hurts the team, in my opinion.
Austin Dillon needs to do what his grandfather won't do and take himself out of the car after this year. Like he has to, and I know that's, look, who the hell am I to say that?
For the sport.
But he doesn't belong there. And like you said, like that 3 means so much to the sport, and he got his shot. He's been in that car for 10 years now. And it's just not working. He's just not doing the things necessary to perform the way RCR should be. And Kyle, like, okay, yes, he did. He had 3 wins compared to Logano's 1 last year. But when I asked you guys earlier, do you guys think Logano had a good year? You both said no. Logano had 11 top 5s. Kyle Busch had 10. Logano had 17 top 10s. Kyle Busch had 17 top 10s. So they had essentially the same season. So, yeah, it was his first year at RCR. I know he outperformed that equipment.
Yeah.
And does he do it again? Can he do it again? I don't know.
That's where I'm struggling, Matt. That's where I know Kyle Busch is A. Kyle Busch is going to Kyle Busch. He's in that same category as Denny, Larson.
Yes.
But the only thing is that RCR, is that going to be the factor? Is Kyle Busch's transition from Joe Gibbs to RCR, the first year went great. It looks like it's all going to work out. I don't necessarily think it's going to. I think there's going to be a little creep in of Joe Gibbs and Toyota doing really well this year. And Kyle Busch gets a little bit of regret, starts driving a little over the top because he's trying to overdrive that equipment. And I think maybe there's a lot more Kyle Busch. Ooh, blows a tire into the wall. Ooh, yeah. Kyle Busch blows a tire into the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I agree. I think Austin Dillon's bringing the team down. I could see Kyle Busch either staying the same or improving because they did start out really strong last year, and then they cooled. I feel like RCR is one of those teams that, like we just talked about with Penske, they get hot at certain times too, especially Randall Burnett, the crew chief, and that 8 car in general. So I don't know. I'm putting Kyle Busch as to be determined. I'm leaving him the same. I think he makes the playoffs, but if he doesn't, he finishes the season in 17th. One
of those deals. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski, RFK finished 7th and 8th respectively. What do you think about RFK? Do you think they improve, stay the same, fall down a little bit? What do you think?
Up. Well, for one of them, I think Buescher has a very similar year that he had last year.
Yeah.
I am expecting Brad to get back on the winning ways. I'm expecting Brad to get 2 wins this year.
Okay.
But hey, that's 2 more than last year.
Yep.
I mean, we saw it rolling last year with him. Things started clicking with him. I think Brad's gonna be one of those guys that makes it to the playoffs. Like I said, wins probably 2 races and gets eliminated in the round of 16 or the round of 12. And then Buescher, I think he's going to win. Well, he's actually one of my. I'm tempted to take him for the 500. I'm very tempted. I know we're going to do our Daytona 500 picks in a little bit here, but Buescher, I'm expecting right around the same season as he had last year. He had a pretty decent season last year.
All right, what do you think, Eric?
I honest to God think that this season, flip everything. I think Chris Buescher gets no wins, but runs extremely, extremely well, right up there, just like the 6 did last year. But I think it's the 6's turn to get those 3 wins. I think they just flip-flop their seasons around, and they both run extremely well because I think they're figuring it out. They're one of those teams that they figured out mid-season, and they kept it going. So that's always, to me, something you look forward to. It's, we talked about Kyle Busch, up and down, Truex, up, down. Some of these teams that they have these pockets, but they don't have the overall consistency. To me, I think RFK is going to have that, but I think Brad. I think the wins might flip-flop teams here from the 17th to the 6th.
So I'm putting him about the same as last year. I don't know about wins. I know Chris Buescher, though, was one of the most consistent drivers last year. Even without his wins, he was super consistent and was going to make it into the playoffs. I think they both cars make it into the playoffs. I think they both make it to the round of 12. I think we only see one win out of RFK. Who will it be? I'm not exactly sure. I think it's a toss-up between the two of them. But I think they overachieved last year, and they're going to stay kind of right about there with one win between the team, but still consistent. I think consistency is going to be their name of the game. I think Brad Keselowski, Talladega, one of the Talladega wins. He is so good at Talladega. And then we have Stewart-Haas Racing. Kevin Harvick finished in 13th. Rookie Josh Berry's taking that spot. Eric Almirola finished in 22nd. Noah Gregson's taking that spot. Ryan Preece finished in 23rd, and Chase Briscoe finished in 30th. I believe he had a stiff points penalty, though, that put him there. But also, performance wasn't there across the board for all of SHR. What do you think? Do you think they improve? Do you think they stay the same? They have a lot of young drivers now.
I expect this organization, and I'm sorry, Shrey, he's our resident SHR fan. And, I love Josh Berry. I'm very close to naming him my driver exclusively. I think I'm sorry with my throat thing. I think this organization gets 0 wins.
Yeah.
Berry, when he stepped in for the 9, he did fairly well, right? He got a second place win or a second place finish. He had a couple top 10s. He ran well. SHR ain't Hendrick Motorsports. I'm struggling. So just bear with me.
Man. We're almost done.
Moving to the finish of this podcast. I don't think SHR is HMS. I think I think Berry will have flashes. Gregson, what did we see from him last year at Legacy Motor Club? I don't see it with these guys.
Matt's got body damage. He's just trying to finish on the lead lap.
I'm collecting points at this point right now. Yeah. If I could jump a guy or two in the standings, that's all I'm trying to do right now.
I agree with you guys. Well, with you, Matt. Yeah.
I think the body is going to be huge for this team. I think if Ford hits something and gives them an advantage that helps them from last year to this year, that's why I kind of had a question mark next to them. I think Preece is going to Preece. I think Briscoe is going to Briscoe. They're not in the caliber of Denny and Larson, but in the caliber of what they're doing, staying where they're going to be.
Yeah.
Berry, rookie. I'm not going to hold anything against them this year in the full-time season. Go out, have at it. The team that they're coming from, I don't fully expect a win, like you're saying. And Noah, he's going to show glimpses of Noah, and no wins for them either. I think I agree with Matt. No wins out of Stewart-Haas. They are in a NFL terms, college football, any team, they're rebuilding. They are rebuilding, and they need to find their identity as well. So, a lot of teams trying to find their identity this season. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, I think Harvick overachieved because him and Ronnie Childers are just the fucking men, And I think with a new driver, I don't see any of their cars making the top 20 in points at all. I don't see any of them winning.
Josh Berry, just because
like,
he's a smooth race car driver and will keep himself out of a lot of trouble. I could see Josh Berry out of all those cars being that he's going to be in the Harvick car, the number one car. I could see him creeping around that playoff line, that cutoff line, battling with those guys that are in and around there to maybe point his way and just be in the conversation.
Yeah, like 17th through 20th, looking at the points battle.
Yep.
I agree with that. I think Barry and Preece might succeed at a short track and shock some of us at like a Martinsville or something like that, because that's those guys' specialty. Other than that, though, I'm not really expecting to see them in the top 5, But
I do believe the team as a whole will be better.
Yeah,
for sure. The team as a whole is going to be better.
I think they'll tighten up with each other,
Yeah. I think they're one of those teams too, like where like you see teams dip and dive all the time. Like literally like SHR was like an A caliber team, like 3 years ago. I think they've got a lot of young talent. I think all those guys can win at the professional level. They're kind of aligned with like Legacy Motor Club, where like they've got the championship DNA in the front office. They're maybe a year away from being a year away again. I just think they'll find their way back. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
All right. And then Corey LaJoie, Inspire Motorsports, he finished 25th. Ty Dillon finished 32nd for them. I believe Carson Hocevar is going in that car. He's a rookie. I'm not expecting anything out of Carson Hocevar. I just expect him to go out and just keep his nose clean. Corey LaJoie, I think he stays right around the same. 25th, maybe worse. I know a lot of people are high on Corey LaJoie going into the season, especially with Atlanta coming up as the second track. I don't know. I don't see him doing much better than 25th to 23rd.
After what happened last year with him, the 9 and that whole debacle and everyone pumping his tires, and Matt stated earlier that Junior pumping tires for some reason thinks that the 7's going to get a win.
Yeah,
I don't see that at all. I actually believe that Carson Hocevar in the 77 as a rookie is going to have a better overall season than Corey LaJoie.
I could see that happening
Hocevar
too.
has a better season than LaJoie does overall. By the end of this season, they're going to be talking about Hocevar over there, not Corey LaJoie. And that's going to tick Corey LaJoie off that Hocevar is coming in there as a rookie and is going to be running better. LaJoie is going to get frustrated. And, I know how Corey LaJoie drives when he's frustrated. He forgets and does really, really dumb things. So
I think Corey LaJoie is like a Matty D 2.0, where he just has the same season over and over and over again. And eventually, like, that's it, man.
I can see that. I agree. And then the last team, Trackhouse, Ross Chastain finished 9th. Daniel Suarez finished 19th. Where do you think Trackhouse goes from here? Excluding SVG, of course.
I think Daniel Suarez, mi amigo, kind of falls in line with like that Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon.
He needs to
area where it's like you need to perform better than you did last year, because there's going to be someone else nipping at the heels to come take your spot.
I mentioned that crew chief change before, alluding to Daniel Suarez, because he has a new crew chief for this year. I think that's the last nail before they get rid of him.
We gave you your changes, go perform. And if you can't perform, maybe this isn't going to work out. And then with Ross, I expect him to win a race or two. I expect Ross to be in contention. I expect Ross to be Ross. I expect him to ruffle some feathers. If you watch the documentary, which us three have, he has the I don't give a fuck attitude, which I admire. He's there for a reason. He's not there to make friends. And I think he kind of, once Mr. H kind of bashed him a little bit in a press conference, I think he kind of took a step back away from his aggressive personality on the track. I think we get same old Ross this year. I think he's the head of I think he's on top of a lot of headlines again, like he was last year in the first half of the season. And I think he's aggressive, and I think he rips off a win or two. And he's one of those guys that, gets eliminated round 12 kind of deal.
Yeah, I think Ross, believe it or not, for as much altercations as he gets into and bumping and running, he is consistent. He stays in the top 5 in points in the beginning of the season, for quite a while, and he gets a bad rep, I think, when he does do stupid shit. So then people just are more likely to see it. It's like when your buddy, he gets a new vehicle. Oh, he got a new Jeep. So then now you see white Jeeps everywhere you go around town because you just think it's your buddy. I think it's that to me is kind of what it's like, where with Ross, it's, does he ruffle some feathers? Yeah, but he's also pretty consistent in keeping that car. Like, if he has a 7th place car, learned how to bring it home 7th. You know what I mean? Don't take a 7th place car and come home 21st with it. Then I think that's that's where he took that leap. Like you said, Mr. 8, the calming down. Like, hey, okay, I don't have to win every race. I need to just win the races I know that I could win. Don't overdrive the stuff. So, I'm high on Ross. Suarez, give or take him, but road course, I can still see him just because Trackhouse in general, like you look at the team,
they're good on
I
road
think they're going to give
too.
him the ability to win a race. And he falls into the category for me. If he wins a race, he's an Alex Bowman to me. If Daniel Suarez goes out and wins a race, I wouldn't be surprised or shocked by it, but I'm not counting on it, if that makes sense.
I agree with Suarez. I think it's a make or break year for him. I could see him winning a race, or I could see him finishing in 20th place again and losing his ride at the end of the season. Ross Chastain is my early season prediction for our 2024 champion.
Whoa.
Ross Chastain finished 2nd in 2022 as part of the championship 4. He won at Phoenix in the championship race, even though he fell out. If he can make it to the round of 4 this year, I think it's his championship to win. We'll see if he gets there. But yeah,
I like it. I like that.
That's
Eric. I think the two of us have mentioned our championship favorite, buddy. You're up.
Well, Patrick Mahomes just went 2 in a row.
He doesn't drive. He just plays football.
Yeah. Well, he just went.
He doesn't drive at all.
Championship favorite.
And he's going for 3 in a row next season. And this season, Christopher Bell is going for his 3rd championship 4 in a row. To me, consistent, always there. That is knocking on the door. Championship 4, and you make it there multiple years, and not only that, but back-to-back years. That means you're there. You're knocking on that door. He's clutch. When he needs wins, he goes out there and does it. The only thing holding him back was his pit crew in certain races there, and I think they sort that out like Whitey said in the beginning. I think my early favorite for the championship is the 20 of Christopher Bell.
I like it a lot.
And that brake rotor.
I'm with you, man. Seeing how upset he was on the bus when he got knocked out, man. Just the concentration and the energy of like,
he's
I can't let this happen again.
He's a winner, man.
He's
a winner.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
How about you, Matt? Who's your championship pick to win?
It's Denny for me. I think
Denny, I forgot from earlier. Yeah.
I think Denny figures it out this year, and I think he finally gets it done. I think he just seeing his work ethic. I always knew he was obviously a hard worker, but after that Netflix documentary, obviously, I think that whole thing was a 5-episode PR punch in the arm for Denny, and I think he just shows how hard he works, and I think he wants it. I think Mr. Hamlin, his father, wants to smoke that cigar, that MJ gave him. So I think Denny's gonna win it this year.
All right, and let's see, boys. Near the end of the show here, it's Speed Weeks, baby. We're in Daytona all week long with Cup qualifying tomorrow, probably when you're listening to this today, Wednesday, 8:15 on FS1. Thursday, we have truck practice at 5:05 on FS1, followed by the Blue-Green Vacations Duel 1 at 7 for the Cup Series. That's also on FS1. Duel number 2, 8:45 on FS1. And like we mentioned earlier, after the duels, don't forget to check out that Kevin Harvick documentary. Jumping to Friday, we have truck qualifying, 3 p.m. on FS1, Xfinity practice 4:35 on FS1, and then Cup practice after the cars have already been on track for 2 days for some reason is at 5:35 on FS1. No practice before qualifying in the duels is just stupid.
Makes no sense.
Makes no fucking sense. Let's see. And then the truck race, the Fresh from Florida 250 is going to be at 7:30 on FS1 Friday night. Saturday, Cup practice 10:30 on FS1 in the morning. Xfinity qualifying 11:30 on FS1. The ARCA 200 is 1:30 on FS1. And then the Xfinity United Rentals 300 will be at 5 p.m. on FS1. And then, of course, Sunday on Fox, 2:30. The Great American Race, the Daytona 500. But fellas, before we end the show, who wins the Daytona 500? Give me your pick to win and a dark horse who you think might shock the world, you know? Because
we haven't had one in a while, and I could see a dark horse winning this race, to be honest. Like, I don't think I could see this being a non-big driver winning. Like, we have a ton of wrecks or something, and like I could see a Justin Haley in the Rick Ware car winning this race, and because there's 14 cars left at the end. But in all reality, my dark horse, I got to go with it just because of the paint scheme. The 84 of Jimmy Johnson is going to be running in this race. I think he makes it in because Creed is going to be on that car, and Creed is going to will him into the race, and he's going to will him into finishing the race.
To a Daytona 500 victory.
So Jimmy Johnson is my dark horse with the Yodas, who I think is going to win the race. And oh man, it's, to me, I've been saying this, I've been screaming it, and I think it's finally gonna happen. No, it happens all the time. What am I saying? Denny Hamlin, he's gonna win the 500 again. It's always Denny Hamlin.
All right. How about you, Matt? Who's your dark horse and your lock?
My dark horse is Ty Gibbs.
Okay, that was on my mind too. I could see it.
But the person who's actually going to win the Daytona 500 and piss a lot of people off, 23 wins.
Bubba Wallace. All right.
Bubba Wallace, we'll see victory lane. It's going to be the most emotional victory lane you'll ever see. I think Bubba Wallace is just... everything has just come together for that guy. I think he's going to win the Daytona 500.
Christopher Bell is going to shove his ass 10 laps into the race right into the infield.
I think they changed the nose. We'll see if Bell could push with the new nose. I think
for the record though, it was either going to be Bubba or Busher for me. I couldn't figure it out, and it's gonna be Bubba. So
Bubba was gonna be my dark horse, but the more I think about it, why would that be a dark horse? He's finished in the top 5 so many times. Unfortunately for him, he's still going to finish second to his best friend, who finally gets it done at the Daytona 500. He's our reigning champion, and he's going to start off the season like a champion does with that Earl Grey, what is it? Harley Earl, I don't know what the fuck the name of the trophy is. The Harley J. Earl Trophy, high above his head, ringing in another win for Team Penske, one Ryan Blaney. But my dark horse to win, my dark horse is a guy who can never get it done for Team Penske at the Daytona 500. He hasn't won yet in his own car. We were talking about him. That's 6, baby. Can the 6 make it to victory lane?
Denny and the 6, Whitey. Ooh. That was my 2 that I couldn't, like Matt said, the 2 that I couldn't make my mind up was either the 6 or Denny.
And we will find out hopefully this Sunday, 2:30 on Fox for the Daytona 500.
Sunny and 75.
Please, for the love of God, we're bringing someone down that's never been there before. Our buddy Luke. I want him to have a great time at the 500. I'm flying back on Monday night, so we will talk to you on Tuesday night. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night. The bump and run.
There it is.